What's up, desktoppers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are back with another video. And today I'm previewing and giving my predictions for the 2020 Tampa Pro, which is being held this weekend. It's Hunter Labrada versus Iain Valliere in the open men's bodybuilding. But we've got 212's, we've got classic, we've got physique. I'm going to be giving a little bit on all those divisions and giving my predictions as well. Plus, we've got info on a bodybuilder that isn't able to make it to the show due to border restrictions, which is super unfortunate. All that plus much more coming in this video, guys. I hope you enjoy it. What's up, desktoppers? Now, before we get into this video, I want to encourage you guys to please give me a thumbs up and smash that like button if you like and appreciate this content. Also, subscribe and hit the notification bell button. That way you'll be notified of every video that goes up from myself, Xavier Wills, at Desktop Bodybuilding. We've got bodybuilding news, bodybuilding history, contest previews and predictions, just like this show, contest reviews, interviews, plus much more. So make sure you do subscribe and you won't miss out on any of the info coming straight to you guys. But let's get into this one. So it's Hunter Labrada versus Iain Valliere, which is how many people have dubbed this show, but there's a whole lot going on here because I think we have every bodybuilding division. I'm not too sure if they have the wheelchair or not, but we've got everything. We've even got the wellness in the women's as well, which is a massive thing that's coming into the IFBB now as well. But let's start with the Open Pro men. I'm going to give my predictions from 8th to 1st. I'm going to start at 8th with Ken Jackson. Ken Jackson has a great physique, a great shape, but he hasn't always been consistent with his conditioning. And for that reason, and for the last photos I've seen on his Instagram, I'm putting Ken down in 8th position. But he's a guy that in future shows he can come in and look absolutely sensational and do really, really well. In 7th place, I have Seth Shaw, a taller bodybuilder. He's got, sort of pretty round quads. He's got the great small waist and the bigger rib cage where he just really opens up, and he's got more of that classic sort of look in the Open Pro men's here. I just don't think he has quite enough size yet to match some of these other guys. I'm not too sure on his height. He looks like a taller bodybuilder just to me, seeing individual photos, but I have Seth Shaw finishing in 7th place here. In 6th, I have Joe Mackey. Now, many people considering Joe Mackey to be a real sort of, I suppose, contender or one of the contenders for that top 3. Now, in my opinion, I don't think he's quite there just based on conditioning from the photos I've seen. Now, the last photo he put up was actually him, and it's a back double bicep. And you can see just in the back, it's not quite crisp enough in my opinion, but this is about 2 days out from the show. So he could dry out and come in really hard because we know there's bodybuilders that do that. But if this is how he's going to come in exactly on stage, I don't think he'll be enough to beat out some of these guys that will come in more conditioned than him. But this dude has an insane physique. He has just gigantic arms. His side chest is like incredible. Like he's just got some really freaky body parts. Maybe needs a little bit more through the adductors and some certain parts of his body, but overall, this guy is an absolute freak, and he can do some massive things in the Pro League if he comes in diced to the bone. And we still might see that because we do know guys can dry out at times as well. In 5th, I have Justin Mackey. So a very similar name there, from Joe to Justin Mackey, and slightly different spellings. But Justin Mackey is an hostile athlete as well, so I have to give a special shout out to him. And this is a totally unbiased opinion too, by the way, because this guy is shredded to the bone. He might be one of the hardest guys in the show, along with a couple of guys I'm predicting up the top too, because he is just in condition. His legs from the side are crazy. His front double bicep is an awesome shot for him. I just think he's going to do really well. Surprise some people here and place in the top 5, and he could go even higher if some of these guys miss the mark a bit as well. Where he lacks, he probably needs a little bit more size before he's a real contender to win shows like this, but I think that's all in the future for him, and he's looking sensational. In 4th place, I have Dorian Haywood. Now, this dude is a monster, an absolute monster. He is huge. The one spot where he falls down, I think, is his back. But outside of that, this dude's very complete, very big, He looks like he's in pretty damn good shape as well. So someone like that, it's hard to hold them back. This guy could place as high as third, and potentially, if Hunter or Ian miss the mark a little bit, potentially could play a challenge for a top two. You never know. But I have Dorian Haywood in fourth place here, and I think that would be his best placing to date. In third place, I have Ronald Gordon. This dude's shape is ridiculous. Now, this is a photo from him back in March. I found this one on Reddit. It was actually from one of his stories on Instagram. And just look at that front double bicep with how much size he's carrying with that tiny, tiny waist. I love to see that. And I hope shapes like this are actually rewarded in the Pro League because he deserves it. He's got an insanely good shape. He came 11th at the Tampa Pro last year. I don't know if he's competed outside of that as well, but that was a tougher Tampa Pro lineup. So here I think he's going to move up. Like obviously I'm predicting him in third place. I think that he's going to be pretty much a lock for the top 5 unless he misses his mark. But he is looking absolutely sensational. He looks like he's added size and he's a better bodybuilder than he was a year ago. So I'm excited to see Ronald Gordon in this show. Now the top 2, this is a tough decision because Hunter Labrada and Iain Valliere are both great competitors. Hunter Labrada is a bit more of an unknown than Iain Valliere, but he is looking insane by what we're seeing on Instagram. And I do need to see these guys side by side, so I'll preface it with that. But in second place, I'm predicting Iain Valliere. And the reason being is I think that he just has his weaknesses are slightly weaker than Hunter Labrada's weaknesses. And that's literally the only reason why I'm doing this, because I think Iain Valliere will probably be a bit bigger. I think that Iain Valliere might be even a little bit harder. So why would I put Hunter Labrada above him? I just think Hunter's more complete. When you turn around to the back, I believe Iain Valliere's back is a little bit weaker than Hunter's. So I think Ian, he falls down in the back, he falls down a little bit in the chest, but that's also Hunter's weaknesses as well. And the reason why I'm predicting Hunter Labrada for the win is, like I said, the completeness. His back double bicep, while his back isn't the strongest part of that pose, it is a very impressive pose. And his back lat spread really looks like it's come up as well. So I think Hunter's worked on those weaknesses. I think they're a lot better than what they were. But when they stand side by side, it'll be interesting to see the difference in these guys because we don't know if Hunter's going to have that deep separation of those lines once he steps on the stage and those bright lights are on. So I'm very excited to see what happens between these top 2 because honestly, it could go either way. And like I said, I think Ian could come in maybe slightly crisper. I wouldn't even say more conditioned. I'd say just, when you've been training for that a little bit longer, I think he's about 2 years older than Hunter as far as I know, you just get that sort of harder, grainier look to the muscle. And I think Ian might have that over Hunter, but we don't really know until they stand side by side. They're under the same lighting, but I'm predicting Hunter Labrada for the win, Iain Valliere in second place in this show. And I feel bad putting Iain Valliere in second because he's such a good competitor and we know he's an Olympia competitor at this stage as well. And I want to mention as well, Samson Dauda, who I've had a lot to do with as well. I've interviewed him in the past on this channel. He did really well last year. He came second in the British Grand Prix to Nathan Diasha. He has prepped for this show. He is looking by far his best of all time. And he got to the airport and was denied to come over. He had papers to come to the US. I believe he's all booked to come. And he got to the airport and was denied as far as I know, which is like heartbreaking for Samson because he was prepping for the Arnold Classic Australia, which he didn't get an invite to. Then he was prepping for the Arnold Classic in South America, which obviously was called off. And then he's continued his prep and he's pushed all this way to hopefully compete in Tampa. And he gets denied at the border, which absolutely, not at the border, he gets denied at the airport, which absolutely sucks for him. I know there's a show coming up in a few weeks' time. I think he's going to try for that one. So fingers crossed for Samson that he's actually able to compete there because he honestly deserves it. And he's a guy that I would have predicted in third place here with the potential to honestly beat one of Iain Valliere or Hunter Labrada potentially, or maybe even win the show. He was the dark horse coming into this that could have just upset the whole apple cart. And I really feel for Samson. So jump on Samson's social media, send him your love and all that sort of stuff because I know right now he was pretty damn disappointed when I spoke to him. Now let's move on to the 212, and this is the 212 debut of George Peterson, and that's what everyone is excited about, but I'm going to go from 5th to 1st. I might be missing some names because I haven't gone through every single competitor and looked at their photos, but I think this is going to be my top 5 regardless. In 5th place, I have Derek Farnsworth. He's an older competitor, but he's honestly looking his best of all time. He's made it to the 212 Olympia stage before, so for me to put him below 5th at his all-time best, I think would be a disservice. I was flip-flopping him and Aaron Clark, who I have in 4th place, because I think those two could be very close. But I've got Aaron Clark in 4th place for a specific reason, and it's because he looks shredded by his recent photos. Now, Aaron Clark really burst onto the scene, and then he faded away a little bit. Did some shows where he didn't look his best, but he is back. He looks conditioned. As long as his waist is tight enough, I think that he could place really well here, and he could place, as high as something like 2nd or 3rd, in my opinion. In 3rd place, I have Santi Aragon. I've always liked Santi's shapes. He's got the shorter sort of limbs, like the shorter arms, and he's a shorter bodybuilder overall as well. But I think he's got a great shape as well. He's flip-flopped between Classic and 212, and he's done really well in both without being right at the very top of each division. So I think Santi's got a great chance of his show to get a top 3, collect some points, and hopefully get to the 212 Olympia in December. In 2nd, I have Detrick Bo Lewis. This dude is coming in strong. Like, I've seen photos of this guy for a little bit, but he's really bringing it in. His condition looks on point. I don't know if he'll be able to get over a George Peterson, but I have him in a firm 2nd. It wasn't even really a debate for me in my head. So I have Detrick Bo Lewis placing 2nd in this show. In 1st place, I have George Peterson. Like, say no more. He is looking shredded to the bone, as he always does. He's looking way fuller than he was in the Classic. And I'm just hoping his legs come in really, really well and they're big enough. Because in the Classic, they almost started to look a little bit stringy because he had to hold so much muscle on his upper body because his back is just so insane. I think he's got one of the best backs on the planet. It's just so dense, so crazy. And I think that density of his muscle in his upper body will get him the win here. And I think that maybe it won't be a hands down easy victory like many people think, but I have him as the clear winner in this show with Detrick Bo Lewis in a clear 2nd, in my opinion. Now, in the Classic Physique, I won't go through all these names because there's a lot of guys in this show. I just want to highlight just one competitor, Divine Wilson. Now, you might know Divine Wilson. I believe he placed 2nd to Steve Laureus. I believe it was last year or a year prior at that Pittsburgh Pro Show. And he has a great physique. Like, that was a controversial loss to Steve Laureus as well. So I think Divine Wilson will come in here. I think he will win it. There's not a huge amount of notable names in this lineup, top Olympia names or anything like that. So I think Divine Wilson will get this win in the Classic Physique. So in the men's physique, we have Andre Ferguson. He is a clear standout in this division. He's a top 2 guy in the world, and I think that he's going to be incredibly hard to beat. But when a guy like this competes in a big lineup in men's physique, you never know. Someone could come out of the woodwork and actually beat Andre Ferguson in this show, which would be a massive news story. And I think a lot of guys that are, top guys in the Olympia are scared to do these sorts of shows in case they get knocked off by someone and it sort of tarnishes their reputation a little bit. But Andre Ferguson has such an amazing physique. In my opinion, he has the best physique in the world, or at least one of the top 2, in my opinion. Just an amazing, amazing physique. He's got a great back, amazing abs. When he just stands there with his hands on his hips, he is crazy. So I think he takes out the men's physique here. In the figure, Aaron Stern is coming back as well, which is actually a big story. A multiple-time Miss Olympia in the figure. In the wellness, I don't know the competitors' names, but this is, I don't know if it's the first wellness show in the IFBB Pro League, but this will be obviously probably the most publicized to date. So that's going to be interesting to see what sort of look they go for in the wellness division. And I want to get your guys' opinion as well, what you think of a whole new wellness class. But guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Who wins the open bodybuilding? Is it Hunter Labrada, Iain Valliere, or is it someone else like Ronald Gordon or Dorian Haywood or Justin Mackey? Let me know your predictions down in the comment. Give me a top 5, top 3, who wins out of Hunter and Iain. Just let me know in the comments below. I love to hear that stuff from you guys. And who wins the 212? Could someone else upset George Peterson? And how do you think George Peterson will do in the 212? Not just in this comp, but in the future as well. Okay, so let me know what you think. I really appreciate all the love and support. So that's it for another video. If you guys want to support me, make sure you head to hostile.com. It's HOSSTILE.com. Enter XAV10, XAV10, and you'll save 10% on the best supplements and apparel going around. You can see I'm repping the Relentless top here and the matching cap as well. And the stuff just, I think, is awesome quality stuff. So make sure you head to that. Also, like this video if you appreciate it. Give me that thumbs up. Also, subscribe and hit the notification bell button. That way, be notified of every video that goes up from myself, Xavier Wills at Desktop Bodybuilding. So that's it for another video. For Xavier Wills, Desktop Bodybuilding, we are out.